The top of the Libertarians' 2016 ticket was another ex-governor, New Mexico's Gary Johnson, who was too interested in marijuana and not interested enough in Syria to recognize the name Aleppo. Weld, however, is ready for prime time. Washington, this, exclaimed Margaret Thatcher, thumping Friedrich Hayek's 500-page tome, The Constitution of Liberty, on a table in front of some Conservative Party colleagues, is what we believe. It also is what Bill Weld believes, which is why he aspires to be the Libertarian Party's 2020 presidential candidate. Get editorials, opinion columns, letters to the editor and more in your inbox weekday mornings. Sign up for the Opinion newsletter. The former twice-elected Republican governor of Massachusetts has been visiting Libertarian Party state conventions and will be in New Orleans at the National Convention June 30th to July 3rd. There he will try to convince the party, which sometimes is too interested in merely sending a message, "Liberty is good," to send into the autumn of 2020 a candidate representing what a broad swath of Americans say they favor: limited government, fiscal responsibility, free trade, the rule of law, entitlement realism and other artifacts from the Republican wreckage. Once when a Democrat noted that Weld's ancestors had arrived on the Mayflower, Weld replied, "Actually, they weren't on the Mayflower. They sent the servants over first to get the cottage ready." He was the 19th Weld, the first was in the class of 1650, to graduate from Harvard. Since then, the 20th and 21st have attended, 2 of the 5 children he had with his first wife, Theodore Roosevelt's great-granddaughter. 2 Harvard buildings are named for Welds, one of which John Kennedy lived as a freshman. Ad choice advertising and read invented by Teeds. Bill Weld, who majored in classics, took philosophy classes from Robert Nozick, whose Anarchy, State and Utopia, a canonical text of libertarianism, argues that the minimal state is inspiring as well as right. Weld served in Ronald Reagan's administration for 7 years, 5 years as U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts. He was recommended for this position by then Associate U.S. Attorney General Rudy Giuliani, which was not Weld's fault. Next, Weld was head of the Justice Department's Criminal Division. There he brought from San Francisco, as his replacement in Massachusetts, a man who might be the straightest guy I've ever met, Robert Mueller. Weld's sandy reddish hair is still abundant, and, at 72, he is eager to build on his 2016 experience as the Libertarians' vice presidential nominee. During that campaign, I carried around with me every day the 10th Amendment, the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, or reserved to the states respectively, or to the people, noting that the Articles of Confederation excellently referred to powers not expressly delegated. Weld says, "I might have been an anti-federalist. Imagine having a president who knows that there were anti-federalists." The top of the Libertarians' 2016 ticket was another ex-governor, New Mexico's Gary Johnson, who was too interested in marijuana and not interested enough in Syria to recognize the name Aleppo. Weld, however, is ready for prime time. During a recent breakfast at the Hay Adams Hotel across Lafayette Square from the White House, the Adamses reached these shores shortly after the Welds. Weld recalled how as governor he taught agencies to not expect the last year's appropriation plus 5%. He cut taxes 21 times and raised none. A believer in freedom for what Nozick called capitalist acts between consenting adults. Weld says his most satisfying achievement was cutting the 6% tax on long-term capital gains by 1 point for each year the asset is held. If the floored face of today's snarling GOP wants to be renominated, he will be. 500 days into his presidency he had 87% approval among Republicans, 10 points above Ronald Reagan's rating at 500 days. And in the autumn of 2019, upward of 20 Democratic presidential aspirants might clog the stages at debates that could become contests to see who can most arrestingly pander to activists, a disproportionate slice of the nominating electorate, who are enamored of Medicare for all, government-guaranteed jobs, and generally gobs of free stuff, college tuition, etc. If in autumn 2020 voters face a second consecutive repulsive choice, there will be running room between the two deplorables. Because of its 2016 efforts, the Libertarian Party will automatically be on 39 states' ballots this fall and has a sufficient infantry of volunteers to secure ballot access in another 9. So, if the Libertarian Party is willing, 2020's politics could have an ingredient recently missing from presidential politics: fun. And maybe a serious disruption of the party duopoly that increasing millions find annoying. Stranger things have happened, as a glance across Lafayette Square confirms. AD Quality Auto 360p 720p 1080p. You might also like 1 o'clock how Toshiba Solutions can improve quality of life. Toshiba APAC. Why pay $112 to watch the World Cup when you can watch at ExpressVPN? Air conditioning now finally affordable thanks to newthingstoday.com. Serene Chua's birthday celebrations. At Lobby Lounge, SingaporeTatler.com. Singapore AC companies angry at this new tiny device. HandyTechGadgets.com. Alex Lowe's 50th birthday celebration at Fullerton Bay. SingaporeTatler.com. Brad Pitt won't allow kids to act with Angelina Jolie. MercuryNews.com. Report tabloid ran stories by Trump before publishing. MercuryNews.com. DA San Pablo man used boiling water, oil attacks too. EastBayTimes.com. Recommended by